Safety position. This has been a position of tremendous need for Miami on the field. You see it last year. Position Miami struggled, particularly with depth. You really ran out of players as you got towards the end of the season to the bowl game. You go in that portal. You get Zechariah Poyser. You get from Jacksonville State, freshman All-America. You beat Georgia for Poyser. Huge recruiting win. Also Florida in the mix there. He is from that part of the state. You go to Tennessee. You take their starting safety, Jacoby Thomas, a physical striker with some athleticism. Again, this is someone that they wanted to keep. Go and take him. Now you got two starting safeties, but you're still trying to develop that young safety so you're not stuck in this problem for so many years. Heard great things about Zechariah Poyser, heard great things about Jacoby Thomas, but you got to prove it. Dylan Day, we talked about before, he's got to get to where he's where we need him to be, which is basically a starter. That's still unproven, great special teams player. Where else is Miami going to get production at the safety position? So before we can get to the current roster, I wanted to go to recruiting because Miami had really two guys that we talked a lot about, really, really talented guys, which is the Blake Stewart from Atlanta going to Clemson. Miami fought hard. He visited a ton of times. There were times where Miami looked close there, but ultimately I think Clemson kid, he's just the kind of guy that goes to Clemson. Clemson, they get certain character guys where it's like beyond clean, like guys that are just basically Boy Scouts. And they're very good in places like Atlanta. They get defensive backs from there. When they lock in on these kind of guys, they usually get them, and then they develop them pretty well because they're good kids with talent. That's an easy guy to develop. They end up going to the pros. So this was just a kind of a Clemson guy, which fought hard, but Clemson beat us on that, and that just tip your hat, and we got to win those. And then Devin Jackson, this one to me really stung. Guy from Orlando, committed to Florida under Will Harris. Will Harris comes to Miami. He decommits. You think he got the inside track. He visited a bunch of times, unofficial, unofficial, big, fast. I mean, just kind of your physical freak type safety. Goes all the way across the country to Oregon. We'll see if he can maybe flip him back later, but that's not a good situation. So at safety, who else has visited and that Miami shown interest in? And the name I would go to right here is Cortez Reading, a safety out of Atlanta, teammate of Jontavius Wyman, 4-star corner commit. Cortez Reading himself is a 4-star player, actually rated very similarly to a Blake Stewart. Devin Jackson might be rated a little higher. Tyree Green, another one I should have mentioned from Buford, also Atlanta area safety, ranked basically in this range. He's a great athlete from Buford, visits officially, visits unofficially. Ultimately, you lose that battle to Georgia. Again, you can see why you lost the battle. It's tough competition. You're going to Atlanta, but you're on the losing end. So you got to win one of these battles here. You got to get a safety in the boat. I think with Reading, there's a guy that Miami's liked. Miami they visited him, liked the way he played. His film's outstanding. Again, he's visited twice, so that shows you the interest level. Pretty similar to like a Samorian Wingo who visited unofficially, visited officially, and he gets in the class. He's not announcing till next Friday, but I think this is a player, and you see NC State, Indiana, kind of your more like schools that develop guys more so than your Clemsons and your Georgias that are just those blue blood DB programs that consistently produce first rounders. These are more like guys that develop good players at the position. That's your competition for Reading. And I think ultimately this is a player that should be in Miami's class. And I'm not saying should like in terms of my prediction. I'm saying should in terms of like, I think at this point, this is the guy that should be wearing orange and green. You look at the film. The film is really outstanding at a high level of Atlanta football. You see him with the break on the interception. This is an instinctual guy. This is a tough guy. This is a guy that knows how to play. Really, the weakness with Corey Reading is he's just not the biggest guy in the world. So you're going to have to put some weight on it and develop him physically. Blake Stewart's going to pretty much walk in and be good. Whereas this guy might need some developments from a size standpoint. Legit 5'10", but needs to get stronger, and he's not 6'1". But I think that's the thing with Reading. But I think when you look at the guys that have visited and the guys that you can go out and get, I mean, Reading is a real player. You're looking at these highlights. This guy can play. He could end up being better than all these guys we're talking about. There's a little bit more development just from a physical standpoint. So I think that's something you have to incorporate. Devin Jackson, Blake Stewart, Tyreek Green, those are put together guys ready to go. There's a reason why Oregon, Georgia, Clemson are in that mix. This with Reading, even though he's a 4-star player, again, I think there's a little more development involved. But look at the highlights. I mean, this guy's not afraid to hit. You see the instincts. This is to me, an instinctive player, a guy that knows what he's doing. And he's sudden as well. The athleticism is not an issue, but what you're looking to find the football there. As Baggino says, he's slot corner size. I think it just depends on how much weight you think you put on him. Brandon Merriweather was somebody that was around this size and then just bulked up tremendously. Probably Brandon Merriweather's physicality was like unheard of. But the thing with Reading, look, that's a nice tackle right there, man. This guy's not afraid to strike you. His film really, to me, is as good as any of them. I put Blake Stewart as my number one on that list just because Blake Stewart had all the boxes checked. He just had everything to me, the athleticism, the character stuff, the instincts, the IQ. He kind of had it all. Look at that range. This guy's a real safety. He's a real football player. I think we look at Indiana. Indiana took D'Angelo Pons from South Florida. D'Angelo Pons, for those who don't remember, he came out of Chaminade. He was like their nickel corner. And I actually wrote on CanesInSight.com, 7.5 million posts and counting. I actually made a post as like my kind of underrated guys from South Florida. I had D'Angelo Pons there, who at that time was committed to James Madison because he was small. That was the negative on D'Angelo Pons. He just didn't have the size, but he had the speed, he had the instincts. And I said, this guy's a sleeper. When he gets the size, he's going to be really, really good. Ended up going to James Madison, transferring to Indiana, now one of the best corners in the country. Some of the Miami would have loved to have kept home in retrospect. But I think Indiana gets guys like that. That was the coach of Indiana now who's pursuing Reading was the same coach that got him to James Madison and then back to Indiana. Insignetti, they're nice striking there. NC State, a school that if you look at them, they developed these defensive backs. They just they got rated in the transfer portal. NC State, I think LSU, I want to say, USC, a bunch of schools went to North Carolina to get like cornerbacks and safeties because they just basically rated that defensive backfield. Good for us because we played North Carolina State this year. Good for Carson Beck that all their DBs got poached. But I think it shows you that they're pretty good at identifying guys like this. And then just, they can get them to NC State maybe because they're a little smaller. They're not as ready to just plug and play. But then once they're developed, the instincts, the short area quickness, the twitch, the athleticism, all that kind of plays into it. And it shows up once the weight comes. There you see, he is not afraid to tackle. He needs to gain weight, but there's the tackle part is there. Here you see, again, over the middle. He has a nice little jolt, but he's got to get stronger to really put some heft behind those hits. But yeah, I think this is a player that when you look at where the safety room is, I would not just let this guy go, in my opinion. I think this is a guy you get in the room, look at him, read and react, make the tackle, especially with the extra scholarships. Get this guy in there. You see him covering the slot, great instincts there. And if he becomes a slot corner, maybe he becomes a slot corner. I don't know. But this is someone who knows how to play football. His teammates are already on the team. You see it in this film. You see number 3 on the outside, the corner right there by the 40-yard marker. He's that's Jontavius Wyman. He's a 4-star cornerback commit right now. Look at the instincts. Neither of those guys are really that big, but I think both of them, you see how quickly he diagnoses some of these screens. That's one of the keys to being a safety, as everybody listening here knows. It's about being able to see it and trust it. That's such a huge part of playing safety, playing linebacker. And I think Reading, you see him on this play right here. He sees it and he trusts it. So we'll see, man. We'll see. The he announces on Friday. I do think Miami's going to get involved here. And you're talking about potential safeties. This would be the first one from a recruiting standpoint that I'd have my eye on. Someone that Miami knows very well. They've scouted for a long time, that they've recruited for a long time. And then I think if you develop him and get some weight on him, he could be as good as anybody. 4-star player for those. I know that's important. And stars do matter. I think you get this guy, keeps you in the top 10, I believe, of the recruiting rankings. Not that matters so much in July, but people do pay attention to stars, and it's not just fans. There's coaches that pay attention to stars too. It's not like coaches don't care what the stars are. They say that. Everybody says they don't care what the stars are, but coaches pay attention to it. Now, they'll like the guys they like, but if the stars aren't where they think they should be, then they'll be upset. I get a question a lot about who do I think could play safety that's a corner right now. Often it's about Damari Brown, who I think he's playing so good at corner right now that I think he's going to stay there for the time being. Xavier Lucas, similar boat, very fast. Other guys. But to me, as I really study this roster, one guy that I think has a chance to maybe make that switch, And it's not based on like information that he's being switched or anything like that. This is just kind of looking at the whole board and the picture of everything. Name we haven't talked about a lot. Jabori Antoine, 4-star defensive back from New Iberia, Louisiana, in that New Orleans area. He's a highly touted player out of LSU, 6'1", strong. Tore his ACL as a senior, which I think slowed some of his momentum, but he is back. I am told he's full go. He's going to play this season, like the whole season. He's ready. So had basically a year to sit out and rehab. This is a guy people are excited about, man. And when I think about his recruitment, and I'll pull up his film right now as we see 6'1", ranked among the top cornerbacks nationwide, number 13 player, basically a top 200 player by everybody's standard. ESPN has him as a top 100 player, top 10 player in the state of Louisiana. Sophomore year, 11 pass breakups, 5 picks. Only played 4 games his junior year, mostly played quarterback. So I think with Antoine, he has the size to play that safety position. And he's somebody that when he was getting recruited, there were people in Louisiana that said, hey, I think this guy might be a safety. So just kind of me putting a two and together. And I found that I got the report that he's healthy. I heard he's a great kid. There you see the size. Look at the arm length. I heard he's healthy. He's there. He's ready to play. I'm sure he's eager to play because you don't come from New Orleans just to sit on the bench. And there you see him playing safety. The more I think about it, the more I say, well, if this guy's already played safety, if he's got the size, 6'1", I mean, this guy definitely has the ability to bulk up. Why not put a Jabori Antoine at safety? He can still play cover guys and do, have the versatility that you want at corner, but why not play him at that safety position? So that to me is a name we haven't talked about a lot because he's been injured, but now knowing that he's healthy, and you see these highlights, man, this guy's got a lot of talent. Now knowing that he's healthy, I could see safety being a potential fit for him. He wants to get on the field. He wants to play. I'm sure he'll play special teams. But you look at that safety room and you say, okay, well, Mario Wallace, smaller player. You say Dylan Day could be a good one. By the way, from the same place. He's also from a Louisiana kid. I believe Dylan Day's from Baton Rouge, but same. He's from the same state. So you see him have that success moving from kind of that corner that he played in high school, played all around the field, played kind of like Jabori, who also played quarterback, played all over the field. But Dylan Day ultimately settling at safety, playing special teams. Maybe Jabori Antoine sees that and says, hey, why can't I do that? You see the cover skills. I don't see a shortage of cover skills that will prevent him from playing corner. But the competition at corner is a lot fiercer than it is at safety, especially Bryce Fitzgerald. I heard he's a freak of nature. I think corner is probably more likely for him than safety. Just a tremendous, tremendous athlete, Bryce Fitzgerald out of Columbus. I don't know if the physicality is there for safety, so you look at him maybe as more of a corner. So you say, all right, corner's got a lot of great athletes there, a lot of veterans that can play. Now that you've added basically the freshman All-America team with Ethan O'Connor, Zechariah Poyser, Xavier Lucas, and OJ Frederic, all those guys played great as freshmen last year. So that's a crowded spot. Damari Brown, throw him in the mix. He's been doing really well. Charles Brantley, for this year, is going to be a senior. Keontae Scott, same thing, and your nickel from Auburn. So that safety room looks to me a lot lighter, and then you watch Jabori move around. Oh, sorry, Rich is saying that's Lafayette, not New Orleans. Thank you. So New Iberia is Lafayette. I need to learn my geography here, Rich. I appreciate that. Everybody from Lafayette, I apologize. One of the fighting capitals of the world, Lafayette. They got Daniel Cormier, Dustin Poirier, two UFC champs from that area. There you go. Here's Antoine. Nice hit at the end. So, yeah, I could see it, especially the more I watch these highlights. This is his junior film. I mean, he's not knocking guys' heads off, but he's not afraid to tackle. There you see former quarterback. Doesn't fall for the fake. Makes the tackle. Look, he's going to need to get bigger, but I see the instincts. You want your safety to have instincts. And here you see him on these highlights. He's playing quarterback. He played quarterback. He played basketball. That's nice background for a safety. We've been going back and reviewing the recruiting classes. I remember Brandon Merriweather we watched. He was playing safety for his team, more of an option safety. This guy's actually throwing the ball and making reads, although there you see him run. So I like that mix for a safety. He can cover like a corner. He has basketball background to track the football. He has quarterback background to just know what's going on, to really understand the game in that way. And then he has enough size at 6'1". His speed I think he's good enough to play corner, but I don't think he's like a speedy corner necessarily, like a 4-4-4-3 type of guy. So if that's the concern you have at cornerback, obviously at safety, that gets mitigated a little bit. He'll have more than enough speed to play safety at 4-5. But you see this guy's an athlete. I mean, this is good competition. He's out there running for touchdowns. So here you go. Free runner. Makes a miss. You're going to throw. He's going to pass. Takes a hit. Throws the ball. Nice throw. Man, this guy's an athlete, man. I am impressed with Jabori Antoine, and the more I think about it, and you guys tell me in the comments I'm crazy. I just think when you look at where he fits, I think that safety position just makes a lot of sense. That's what it looks like to me, with the size, with the way he moves, with the instincts. Or 1,500 on, by the way, like and subscribe as we talk about safety. Kane Scott saying, good morning from the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion. Are you at Islas? If you're not, I'm not putting your comment up, but let me know. Let me know if you're at Islas. Rich saying LSU wanted Jabori Antoine badly. I flipped him from Louisiana State. Hard to do. There you see him more quarterback play. He's a nice little quarterback, man. He throws it. And I love that he played basketball. You're seeing him playing wide receiver. Look at the ball skills. Nice hands. Ghostface asking, Garrett Cooper still crystal ball to Texas. That's what I'm thinking with him for now. You see Antoine moving around, making some plays. Let's see okay, here's a truth or false asking, do you think even if we start winning big, that will change the elite South Florida recruits leaving home? South Florida recruits seem to have no loyalty or love for Miami like other places. I think unless we move to the SEC or Big Ten, I don't see anything changing. Even all recruiting is hard, and we've had the best of the best at that position coaching. I mean, recruiting's hard. Recruiting is hard, and recruiting is hard when you're not Georgia or Ohio State or Alabama, which have been winning for 20 years straight. So I think that's the simplest way I could put it. LSU, throw them in that boat as well. LSU, Ohio State, Georgia, Oregon, in terms of how these kids, their lifetime. Alabama, I mean, those teams have been winning for a long time. They've been sending guys to the NFL for a long time, guys that these good players look up to. We just haven't done that. So to say that these kids have no love or loyalty for UM, where they have like nostalgic memories of, I don't even know. So if they're 18, let's say they're 17, what year is it? 2025? So what's that? That would be 2007, 2008. I mean, they have nostalgic memories of what? Of our defense getting smoked with Mark D'Onofrio in their formative years, getting blown out by Duke, Clemson, teams like that. And what are their memories? I grew up with championships. These kids didn't get that experience growing up. So M. Lemon asking, did getting Marty Brown at eligibility next year hurt us with Cooper? I heard Cooper is a little concerned with the depth chart, but I think ultimately a guy like him, I don't think that's what he's basing his whole decision on. Texas is losing a lot, though, so I think that's something to keep an eye on. Mel says, keep him at cornerback for Jabori Antoine. He could stay at corner. I'm just, again, you look at the depth chart, that safety depth chart looks a lot cleaner than that corner depth chart, both short-term and long-term. And then I'm watching him, and I don't know. I mean, the only thing I'm questioning when I watch his film, I see athleticism, I see length and height, and just a good frame. I see instincts, obviously at quarterback. I see the ability to cover guys, which that helps you at safety too. There's no rule that a safety can't cover guys man to man. I see ball skills, and he played a little bit at safety as well. So my question is there any reason why Jabori Antoine can't be the answer at safety? I don't see why. I don't see why not. I mean, you see him right here. He's definitely got short area quicks, and he's got instincts. So, and I believe, let me pull up some film here, because I believe Jabori as a sophomore played some safety. So let me see if I can find that tape as well. His nickname is Slime 2, which I'm told is something related to rap, but or Slimito. So maybe someone like a chat can school me on Slimito. Usually Pete would school me on what Slimito means. But Jabori Slimito Antoine at safety. You look at that position, man. Again, Dylan Day Great special teams player, unproven at safety. Just thinking about behind our two starters who are both probably gone next year. Zechariah Poyser, I think, has extra eligibility. Maybe he stays, but Jacoby Thomas gone. The depth at safety, Dylan Day, unproven, great special teams player. Coming from a lower level competition, 1A LA, in Louisiana. Amari Wallace, not the biggest guy in the world. Marquise Williams, he's gone next year. I mean, who else is at safety? I know I'm forgetting people. Isaiah Taylor, Jason Taylor's son. He has played safety in Power 4 games. He played for Arizona. So it's not like he's like a non-option at safety, but certainly not like a blue chipper at the moment. So here we go. By the way, here's Jabori Antoine. You see the ball skills. I mean, there we go. What a nice play that was. You tell me that doesn't play at safety right there? Here we go. That's playing safety right here. So, I mean, you look at him. He's playing safety on these sophomore highlights, and boom, taking it to the house. I mean, any reason why this guy might not want to do it? Bagnall's saying he may not want to play safety. In his mind, he may be a CB. Yeah, I hear that, but I mean, also in his mind, he wants to be a starter. I mean, he's playing safety for his high school team. He can't play safety for University of Miami. There you go. Playing the deep half of the field, too deep safety, intercepts it, takes it for a run. So look, maybe this is all just nothing, but when I'm looking at the safety position, I'm seeing a Cortez Reading standing there that you can grab, who's going to help you, and then a guy right here that you signed last year who's healthy, who I think could, if you get this guy playing as a freshman, maybe he goes into a game against, I don't know, whoever the weak opponent, Bethune this year, I forget the weaker opponent. He comes in there, he gets an interception at safety, and now you're saying, all right, we got a safety right here. Of course, he can't cover. There you see him outside doing his thing. A little handsy there, but he can play it. And then we see him play offense. There you see him covering again. I mean, he does have nice cornerback movements, but I don't see any reason why you say this guy's only a corner. Maybe I'm told I'm wrong, but just watching him, I see a guy that you line him up in the slot, he can cover guys, and then at safety, he has the ball skills and the range. It's a position you really, really do need help. One of the key positions on the team, quite frankly. So anyway, that's my spiel on safety. I don't know any other names besides Cortez Reading for this year. You're going to still try to flip guys. In terms of in the class, I mean, Amari Wallace got to gain some size. He's still smaller. And right now, all those guys like the Damari Browns and all the guys, Xavier Lucas, the guys people move to safety, I don't see those guys moving, at least in the short term. So where's the answer going to come from? This is one idea, and I heard again, Jabori Antoine Slimito is healthy and playing well. Boom, right there. That looks like a safety to me. Nice tackle.